Suzuka in Japan is one of the tracks where using our pre-patch setup after the 1.3 update really highlights the changes that have been introduced with this new patch. Our old setups just simply won't work just due to the amount of understeer you'll encounter. Kicking things off with this updated setup is the Aero, and I've gone with wing angles of 39 and 28. Now this is a big increase compared to our pre-patch setup, giving us a lot more front downforce than before. This is needed since Suzuka is so reliant on your car's ability to turn in well to those sweeping corners. If you do find the car a little bit too loose, you can reduce the front aero by a couple of clicks to bring the balance more towards the rear of the car. This will sacrifice some outright performance and make the car a little bit more prone to understeer, but it will be more manageable during a full race distance. I've opted for just 25% on the on-throttle differential setup. Now this is actually a reduction from our original car setup, as traction is now much harder to find. Exiting the slow corners of 11 and 17 in particular are very tough on traction, and it's incredibly easy to spin your rear wheels. If you don't mind a bit of management throughout a race, you can manually increase your on-throttle differential up to say 40, 50, 60% or so during other parts of the lap, and lower it back down just before these two corners. Then go 40% off-throttle differential for a good amount of rotation and 60% engine braking. The suspension geometry doesn't look too dissimilar to our previous updated car setups. I've set the camber far left at -3.5 and -2.2, and the toe follows our current trend of low front toe and low to medium rear. Go 0.05 and 0.25 with the toe setup. Now that extra rear toe is really designed to keep the rear of the car stable, which is especially important due to our aggressive aero setup. The suspension setup is crucial around Suzuka, especially since the update in F1.24. Like our previous Bahrain, Jeddah, Australia setups, I've stiffened the front suspension up to 40 and I've set the rear suspension to just 5. This is pretty standardized for tracks now, especially Suzuka, since the style of the corners of this circuit really require greater responsiveness from your car. The anti-roll bars are set roughly in the middle with a priority on stiffer front ARBs. I've gone with 16 and 10 this time round. Then I've rounded out our suspension setup by setting the ride height to 25 and 60. For the brakes, I've gone 99% brake pressure this time. There are a few corners where you can easily snatch a brake and lock a wheel at Suzuka, which is why I've lowered the pressure by one click. I've then gone with a brake bias setup at 54%. If you do experience too many lockups still during those short and sharp braking zones, you can reduce the brake pressure even more or move the brake bias slightly further rearward. You do have to look after your tyres around Suzuka, so I've opted for a setup of 27.5 psi on both fronts and the maximum 26.5 on both rears. And that will round out this Japanese car setup. Now this is a track where you really do have to be quite aggressive. A lot of the corners are higher speed and you have to really attack them, so this more aggressive, kind of more responsive style of car setup should help you get the most from your car during a race, while also keeping a little bit more stability compared to a time trial setup, so you can be consistent lap after lap after lap during a race. I'm releasing these updated car setups quicker than previously, so every single day you'll see 1, 2, maybe even 3 car setups on some days. So if you don't want to miss any of those, consider subscribing to our channel and hit that alert bell, you'll be notified when a new video drops. But for now guys, I will see you on track.